Okay, so we are working on Unit 5.4a. Okay, 5.4a. And what we're going to do for this unit, or for this objective, is we will add,
Wait, Miss Kuhn, I have a quick question.
subtract, okay, it needs to wait, multiply, and divide complex numbers. Add, subtract, multiply, and divide complex numbers. We are also going to learn how to plot complex numbers. Okay, so we're going to do add, subtract, multiply, and divide complex numbers and plot complex numbers. Okay, you do need to know what the standard form of a complex number is. So the standard form of a complex number is A plus BI. Okay, if you remember back to quadratic equations, A, B, C are they just represent numbers. Okay, so in here, A plus BI, the A portion represents the part of a complex number that is real. Okay, so a complex number is partially real and part imaginary. Okay, so the A portion is just like a whole number. That's the real part. And anything attached to an I represents the part that is imaginary. Okay, so your answers are going to have both real numbers and imaginary numbers in them, so that makes them complex numbers. Okay, so we're going to have complex answers. Okay, your instructions are going to tell you to simplify. So for example number 1, I would like you to simplify in parentheses 12 minus 11i, close your parentheses, plus negative 8 plus 3i. 12 minus 11i plus negative 8 plus 3i. So all we're doing here is if there's anything that needs to be distributed from your parentheses, then you would do that. Okay, this one's just a plus, so basically just drop the bars. So 12 minus 11i minus 8 plus 3i. Remember, you only need one sign in between there. And then this is just a matter of combine like terms. Okay, so put together the real parts, put together the imaginary parts. When you write your answers, you always want to write the real part first. So the whole numbers will go first. So 12 minus 8 gives you 4. Negative 11i plus 3i gives you minus 8i. And that's your answer. Okay, so 4 minus 8i. Yes. We are not, does it say, this just says simplified. Did it ask you to factor? It did not ask to factor, so you do not take out a GCF. Okay, do not do more than what the instructions are asking you for. Okay, try another one. For number 2, same thing. I still want you to simplify. Simplify 3 plus 7i minus 8 minus 2i. 3 plus 7i minus 8 minus 2i. So really all this is telling you to do is distribute the negative. So when you drop the bars, distribute the negative. So 3 plus 7i minus 8 plus 2i. And then we just combine the real parts and combine the imaginary parts.
That's really easy.
Okay, so 3 minus 8. Now, even though the real part is going to be negative, it still needs to be written first as part of a complex number. Okay, so the negative 5 goes first, then plus 9i. And I know a lot of times our tendency is to write the positive portion first, but with complex numbers, you do write the real part, then the imaginary portion. Okay, so write the real portion, then the imaginary portion. Okay, try another one for number 3. For example, number 3, 3 times 2 plus 4i minus 6 times 5 plus 8i. 3 times 2 plus 4i minus 6 times 5 plus 8i. So we distribute. 3 times 2 gives you 6, plus 3 times 4i is 12i. Distribute the negative 6. So minus 30 minus 48i. Combine the real parts. Combine the imaginary parts. Like I said earlier, you always want to write the real portion first. So 6 minus 30 gives you negative 24. Positive 12i minus 48i is negative 36i. So the first portion of your homework is just add, subtract, multiply. Or add and subtract, excuse me. So combine like terms. No, we are not going to have to factor. At all. No factoring. Okay. The next thing I want you to try is for number 4. Again, we're still just going to be simplifying. I want you to simplify 2 plus 4i multiplied by 5 minus 3i. 2 plus 4i times 5 minus 3i. So this looks a lot like a binomial times a binomial, correct? How would you multiply if you had 2 binomials multiplied together?
Foil.
You FOIL, right. So we're going to do the same thing here. Okay, we have to FOIL. So first times first, 2 times 5 gives you 10. Outsides, 2 times negative 3i is negative 6i. Insides, positive 4i times positive 5 gives you plus 20i. And last, negative 12i squared. Okay, negative 12i squared. Now, you cannot combine like terms just yet. Okay, we have to simplify.
Is that a plus 12?
What does the negative 1, or excuse me, what does I squared give you? Negative 1, right. So when you're combining like terms, in your next step, we could get 10 plus 14i minus 12 times negative 1. Okay, so really that becomes 10 plus 14i plus 12. And then when you combine the like terms, again, I want the real portion first, so 22 plus 14i. Okay, so make sure that you fully combine like terms. Okay, so when we simplify, we know that I squared becomes a negative 1. Multiply it, do not add it. Okay, be careful there. And then you can finally actually combine like terms. Questions so far? Okay, let's try another one. Number 5. Yes, Jenny. Guys, I can't hear what she's saying because too many people are talking. Say it again, Jenny. Yes. In a complex number, you always write the real part first, then the imaginary part.
No fraction.
Okay, so if I want you to simplify 7 over 3 plus 2i. Just want you to simplify because remember we said that we cannot have i's in the denominator. So how do I get rid of the I in the denominator?
Multiply by the conjugate.
Multiply by the conjugate. Okay? What is the conjugate here? 3 minus 2i. Okay, so multiply by 3 minus 2i in both the top and the bottom. So numerator and denominator. Okay? When you actually multiply in the top, that's just distributing. So 21 minus 14i. In the denominator, you FOIL. Okay? FOIL these through. That gives you 9. Outsides is minus 6i. Insides is plus 6i. And last is negative 4i squared. Now, I noticed that on your quizzes, you guys know that when you multiply the conjugate, the insides are going to go away. So a lot of you have gotten a little lazy, and all you've done is you just started multiplying by the first and the last. Well, that doesn't work all the time because on your quiz, and you'll see some in a minute, you have to FOIL. Okay? You have to FOIL because sometimes we're not multiplying by things that will cancel out in the middle. Okay, if I was multiplying by a binomial in the top, the middles don't cancel out. So there was a lot of mistakes on quizzes because you didn't do all the work. Okay, you just multiplied by the first and the last. So even though you know it's going to cancel out, do not do that. Don't become lazy, please. Okay, so if we keep simplifying this, that's still 21 minus 14i. In the denominator, we have 9 minus 4 times negative 1, okay? So really, we got 21 minus 14i over 9 plus 4. That can be simplified. 21 minus 14i over 13. Now, I want you to understand that this could also be written as 21 over 13 minus 14i over 13, okay? You need to be writing things in this way because in the standard form of a complex number, you always write the real part and then the imaginary part separate, okay? So this is how I would like you to write answers, okay? I would like them separate. Then it's really easy to tell if you can reduce anything because they're two separate little fractions, okay? So it's a lot easier to be able to tell if we can reduce things if you do it that way, okay? Yes?
Can you like slide it up to the top again? I didn't see that A plus B. Okay, thank you.
Okay, next thing I'm going to show you how to do is to plot complex numbers. Okay, plot complex numbers. So for example number 6, I would like you to graph 2 minus 3i. Now, you do not know how to do this yet, so I'm going to show you. The best way that we can plot complex numbers are generally, we can't see imaginary numbers because they are more, it's almost like as if I was going to plot a number like out here, like out in space, okay? I can't really do that. So to flatten them out, okay, basically to like squish them down, squish down the three-dimensional space, the way we label this is the imaginary axis, and this is the real axis. Okay, so I know that's going to seem a little strange, but the way we graph this is you would plot it like 2, negative 3. So basically you look at the real portion is in what we would consider to be the X spot. The imaginary portion is in what we would consider to be the Y spot. So if I was going to graph this, I would plot it as over 2, down 3. And that is where your point would be. Okay? And the reason we can do that is because we're basically trying to take like a three-dimensional graph and squishing it so we can put it in just 2 dimensions. Okay, so they're not X and Y. This is where we actually label real and imaginary. Okay? One more for you. For number 7, I would like you to plot on the same complex plane. Okay, so I want you to plot these on the same axis, basically, or on the same graph. Okay, I want you to plot 3i, negative 2 plus 4i, 2 minus 2i, and negative 4i. I want you to plot all of those on the same plane. You can do that. Now, since you're plotting multiple things on the same plane, you need to label them. So make sure you label them. So if I was going to write these as if they were points on an XY coordinate, what point would represent 3i? 0, 3, right? There's technically, this could be like a 0 plus. So the real portion here is 0, 3. So 0, 3, remember, would be over 0, up 3. So this is 3i. Okay, be very careful because a lot of you, even though we're up to Algebra 2 now, a lot of you are still having trouble when you have a 0 in there. People still put it on the wrong axis, so be careful there, okay? This one would be plotted as negative 2, 4. So left 2, up 4. Left 2, up 4. Label it, please. So this is negative 2 plus 4i. Now, notice